Hey, everybody, and thank you for joining us with Wednesday with Weezy. I am so glad that you are here, and I am so excited to have our guest today. Today's guest is Yvonne Reedy. She is a PhD in children's psychology and has her own private practice in, I'm sorry, I got to read my notes, Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania. And she's also the chair of the 70 by 7 nonprofit, which we're going to learn more about in our interview. But before I introduce Vonnie, I want to read the post that I read on Facebook that she put up that really resonated with me. And that's the reason we're doing this interview, because I want to put this information out there so that you, the public, are aware of things that are happening with our children, and also maybe you can help. So this is the post that she put up. She goes, to any PTO or PTA presidents out there, I see a lot of children in my practice, and one of the hardest things many of them experience is the I have no one to play with. I've I've asked around some of the other therapists in the area, and they are experiencing the same thing. They are hearing the same things from their patients. So in researching, we found that there was a program out there that seems to be working. It's called the Buddy Bench. With the Buddy Bench, the children have to be trained, but when it is used correctly, it works. You buy it or build a bench and designate it as a buddy bench. When a child is spending recess alone, they sit on the buddy bench. Another child comes and sits with them to, to be their buddy. And there's other things, there's rules that go with this, and we're going to talk about this. But we mentioned this to schools in our area, and they love the idea, but they didn't quite know where to start. So then somebody suggested that we call the PTA or PTO presidents. So I'm connecting with you. I live in, I can't pronounce the word, but anyway, she works in Phillipsburg, and I chair the charity 70 by 7. And if you are interested in the gift of the buddy bench, plus the instructions on how to train the kids to use it, please respond to the post. So I did. And I asked Vonnie to come on and join me on Wednesday with Weezy to give us more information. So welcome, Vonnie. How are you today?
I'm doing well today.
Great. Well, I'm so glad that you could come on. So we're, I reached out to you. So is this phenomenon of the children feeling alone and not having somebody to play with, just how serious is this? Do you find this in your practice and other psychologists that you talk to?
I think we always had children that were alone at recess. I think the teachers didn't have as much on their plates and they were able to come and help. And things have gotten very difficult for kids over the years. When I was a child, I had a tendency to be a loner. But there were children that would come and call me into the group, or there were teachers that would say, why don't you come over here and jump rope with the kids? Now that very definitely dates me. But now what's happening, there's so much pressure. There's so much anxiety. I see a lot of children with very, very high anxiety. Um, And I think that when they don't have anybody to play with, they just feel like there's something wrong with them, like they're an outcast. And that increases their anxiety. So I think it's a combination of uh, the amount of work that they're having to do in school, the uh, the social phenomena that children aren't all just children anymore. They don't all just play together as children. Uh, they are like we were when we were teenagers. There's uh, a caste system, and you have to uh, be popular. And it wouldn't be a good idea to be seen with somebody who wasn't popular. So I think it's getting much worse, and I think the children are feeling it.
I was reading an article, getting prepared for this, and I will pass the information along. It was an article uh, in like 2011 that was written, but it was talking about kids aren't allowed to be kids anymore either. And they don't have the free playtime that we used to have, that when you went out on the playground, everything has to be organized now. So you don't just go to a friend's house and play, and you go outside or go in the woods and play, and you just kind of like experience what you need to experience. And as kids just kind of like naturally work it out, everything is so organized. So you now have a coach or a leader or lack of a better word, the a parent organizing the playtime. Everything's so organized now that the kids aren't figuring out how to. It leaves them anxious because it's like, well, if somebody's not telling me what to do, I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to say? What am I
Mhm.
supposed to act? And do you find that that's true?
Absolutely. Uh, I never heard the word play date until my children were past the point where I would have uh, been part of that group. Uh, when I was growing up, we just played. We went out at night, and we went out at in, when we got home from school, and when the first street light it came on, you were on your porch ready to go in the house.
Yeah.
And you better be, because the neighbor next door would tell your mother if you weren't. Uh, now that's unthought of. You don't just go out and play in somebody's backyard. Uh, you have to be somewhere doing something. Uh, and it can get very stressful on the children because they want to be the best. So if they take dance, they want to be the best dancer. If they are into music, they want to be first chair. Uh, they have all of that, and then they have their schoolwork on top of it.
Wow. Yeah, definitely different times. So, so let's go into the buddy bench. So these kids are having a hard time out on the playground, and um, it look in my research, I see the buddy bench system has been around for a while, and
Mhm.
there's several different places that you can purchase the benches. But can you explain the concept of the bench and how it all works?
It's a very simple concept. I was to a PTO meeting uh, last week, and I was just blown away. Those mothers bought into this hook, line, and sinker, and they had everything planned by the time I left. Uh, we talked about different people volunteered, said, my husband teaches shop. I bet I could get him to build one. Uh, and then they
Wait a minute, I
started.
have to stop you there. Your school systems still have shop?
We have, we do have VOTEC, but
Okay, okay.
but the school also has some programs where they can learn to do just living skills.
Wow. Because in a lot
And
of schools in our more cultural areas, like I live in Charlotte, I don't believe those programs are really even offered anymore. And I'm not even sure
no,
about Bo Tech. It's like, oh, well, you need to go on and get your college education. And so you can take AP classes through the community college. But
yes,
I know it's a side note, but it still does lead into what causes the anxieties and the low
exactly.
self-esteem that our children suffer from these days because of these things that have happened. Um, but anyways, so the buddy bench. So uh,
Well, what they that we talked about, how do you teach the kids to use the buddy bench uh, appropriately? Because let's face it, there could be problems with it. Uh, but the parents decided one of the best ways to do it would be to have an assembly and do some role plays with the buddy
mhm.
bench in the fall. And I thought that was a wonderful idea. So it has to go through the school board. And then once it's the elementary principals have approved it, we have two elementary schools, and uh, they've both approved it, and now it goes to the school board. Once the school board approves it, um, and I'm assuming they will approve it because they do not want all those women giving them trouble. But they will. Once they approve it, then what we're going to do, we're trying to pull the whole town together. And so what we're going to do is approach merchants and ask them if they will take these containers and decorate them, and so that people can put money in to buy the supplies. And then we're going to find people either up at the VOTEC or at the shop program to be able to um, build them for us.
Oh,
And they can
fabulous.
decorate them. It can be decorated however you want. Um,
Yeah. So if you're interested in what a buddy bench looks like, there's in doing the research for this, I Googled it and information popped right up. And there's different types of benches that you can purchase, and they had different designs, and the rules are there. And I'll also do a link to that um, on here at the end. So so these benches. So once the bench is constructed and it's in use in the playground, how do the children utilize the buddy bench?
it's again, it's a simple concept. I'm standing there and I'm the child that is not included. And other kids are playing, they've organized different games. Uh, I've approached and nobody has invited me in. So I go and sit on the buddy bench. When somebody sees me, and they will be trained to keep looking at the buddy bench, and teachers as well, so that they can cue a child. If the child doesn't pick up on it, they're on their own, and they go and they become that person's buddy for the day. And lots of times it lasts, but they become that person's buddy, and they can go and join one of the groups, or they can just sit there and talk. Uh,
Okay. But I just love this idea of the buddy bench, and you might find somebody else there that connects, and they may not be artistic, but maybe they want to hear what you have to say, and teaching kids the art of conversation. There's so many things I could talk about this all day long of the possibilities that could happen on the buddy bench, but the art of conversation and listening and speaking could maybe come back as children learn how to. It's not like we all have to be the same, but love each other. We may not have the same interests, but have the fortitude to listen to somebody else, what somebody else is interested in, and then that same person turning around and giving that other person the forum or the time, and because that's a great way to learn and learn about people and what makes them tick. And it would just be fabulous if some of this could come back.
And it's a great way to build respect.
That's beautiful. Okay, so these buddy benches, I'm gonna start in asking you some more about the 70 by 7 is it organization? Um, what is the title of your
70 times 7, it comes from scripture, and where someone asks Jesus uh, if they have to uh, forgive 7 times. And he says, not just 7, but 70 times 7. And the name came from the fact that the organization itself is organized on the premise that people feel like they've failed and they can never be forgiven. And the whole idea is to just be a help wherever a help is needed. So, our role in this particular project is to just be a collection, uh, a collection point. So, we will go around and collect the cans of money and, you know, double count it, make sure that it's, uh, make sure that we get the right number and turn it over to the people building, getting the supplies and stuff.
Okay, and I will also you'll find the information at the end of this video. I will provide the information for you there, so that you can contact Bonnie if you are interested in learning more about this. If you have if you know of a PTA or a PTO that might be interested, there's a PDF that online that you can get from Google, and I'll put that information up. I'll provide that information also. I just want to thank you so much for taking your time to come on and talk with me and share the concept of buddy bench and 70 times 7. And I hope that we can get some response for you and other people take up this for their elementary schools or maybe even preschools or even churches these days, or any public, even maybe a public bench. You never know where you can do to reach out to help somebody. So let's not keep it confined in one place. This is Weezy giving you a mission, people, to go out and engage with your neighbors. So anyway, I hope you all have a great time, and thank you again, Bonnie, for taking your time and coming on to be with me.
And thank you for giving us this forum.
You're very welcome. You have a great day.
You too.